and welcome to this presentation of the Vegan Society of Hawaii. We're delighted today to welcome Ruben J. Guzman, MPH, LMP. He is the author of Evolving Health and Living Proof of What It Takes to Lose Weight, Eat Healthy, and Stay Fit. Ruben possesses over 40 years of experience in the health field and is a board-certified lifestyle medicine professional. He will be talking today about increasing your life expectancy. I'd like to give a warm welcome now to Ruben Guzman.
Thank you once again, and it's my privilege to be here. My commitment to you today is that you will get some valuable information that will really make a positive difference in your life for the rest of your life. Not only will it make a difference for you, but it will make a difference for everybody that you interact with, that you speak with, that you care about, and that you love. Our relationships are so important, aren't they? They make a huge difference. So we want to take care of the people we love. So today, I'm really all about being able to empower you to love more, to be able to love more deeply with the people that you have in your life. How many of you are all about love? You're ready for love. That's what aloha means, right? Aloha is love. All right? Aloha means love. So I'm so excited to be here today. So today we're going to talk about how to increase your life expectancy. So I'm going to share with you what I've learned for over many, many years about life expectancy and about health. So my name, Ruben J. Guzman, MPH does not stand for the speed that I drive my car, okay? It stands for Masters in Public Health. So I got that from UCLA. LMP stands for Lifestyle Medicine Professional. I did my undergraduate training at California Lutheran University in beautiful Southern California in Thousand Oaks. It's a very small place, very, very small place. And I was very honored and privileged to be able to attend there. And I majored in biological sciences pre-med. And when I got done, I realized I wanted to go to medical school, but I wasn't ready to take the medical college admissions test. So my plan was to work in the hospital at the Los Robles Regional Medical Center in Thousand Oaks and to participate in the medical technology program as a backup program. So that's what I did. And I did that program for several months, and then I got promoted to become a pathologist assistant. It was amazing. Every day, I got to prepare every specimen that came out of the operating room from every single person every single day. I would line up the specimen containers on a table that was 20 feet long every day. I got to see things, my friends, that you would cringe at. Unbelievable. The other thing I got to do as a pathologist assistant was to assist in performing autopsies. Now, most of the people that we did autopsies on were on people who had died from complications of chronic disease. So I got to see what was on the inside from heart disease, aneurysms, Alzheimer's, diabetes, cancers of all different kinds. I saw it all. It was extraordinary and was quite an education. Now, one autopsy, by the way, in case you didn't know, in medical school, physicians are never required to actually conduct an autopsy. They never have to do one. They just have to observe one. That's it. They never get their hands into it. Now, I got my hands into it. In fact, one of my distinct duties, I had to take the entire intestinal tract of every single person, from the esophagus all the way down to the rectum, and hoist it out of their body cavity, put it into a big deep wash basin, take my surgical scissors, and then slice it open and wash it all out by hand. Yes, that's about 20 to 25 feet of you-know-what. I got up close and personal with you-know-what every time. Now, it was amazing. So one of my insights was this. The intestinal tracts of every single person who died from complications of chronic disease, their intestinal tracts all looked the same. They were wiped out. They were wiped out. The cells were not healthy. The folds that are normally there were flattened out. The blood flow that came into the intestinal tract was not very good. The muscular thickness of the intestinal wall was depleted. It was not a healthy intestinal tract. It was very clear to see that. Every single person who died from complications of chronic disease, their intestinal tract, they were all the same. Now, one autopsy changed everything for me. Completely changed everything. So it was 1981, and a woman in her mid-70s came to the hospital with shortness of breath. She died within a few hours. They barely even had time to draw her blood. So the next day, Dr. Glover, the senior pathologist, and I started to do the investigation. As we started, Dr. Glover told me, he said, "Ruben, take careful note. We may never see this again." Now, mind you, Dr. Glover at that point had been a pathologist for nearly 20 years and a general surgeon before that for 7 years. He was incredibly brilliant. And so I did. I took careful note. Here was a woman with internal organs as pristine and as flawless as a newborn. Amazing. Now there's a flap of tissue that covers the intestines. It's called the omentum. In everybody else that we did autopsies on, that omentum was filled with fat. That's where the belly fat gets stored. The omentum. Her omentum was clear. You could see right through it. Unbelievable. Careful dissection revealed that she had an undiagnosed ventral septal defect, a perforation through the chambers of the heart. Dr. Glover, with his experience in surgery, he realized that most people with that genetic defect would rarely live past their 20s. She beat the odds by over 50 years. How many of you would like to beat the odds by over 50 years? Raise your hands. Okay, good. Some of you don't want to do that? You don't want to beat the odds? Well, okay. She beat the odds by over 50 years. Dr. Glover, being the consummate student that he was, he said, "I need to find out more about this woman." He asked to meet with the family. I got to sit in. He shared what he had discovered. And then he asked this powerful question. "Please tell me, how did she live?" That's a powerful question, right? How did she live? Well, the family said, "Well, our mother has been a Seventh-day Adventist all her life and has followed the rules." Now, I'm sure some of you know about the Seventh-day Adventists. How many of you know about the Seventh-day Adventists, right? Some of you who don't. In case you didn't know, Seventh-day Adventists happen to be one of the longest living groups of people on the face of the planet. That's referred to as the blue zones. There are 5 of them. So she grew up in Loma Linda, and she moved to Thousand Oaks. She followed the rules. No meat, no dairy, no eggs, no refined sugar, no alcohol, no processed foods. Had a garden in her backyard, grew all the vegetables that she ate, walked 5 miles a day every day for over 40 years that they knew about, had a positive attitude, was loving, kind, compassionate, was an amazing mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Extraordinary. That led to a whole series of conversations between Dr. Glover and myself about the connection between lifestyle and longevity. Now, you see, Dr. Glover, he himself was a student of lifestyle. He was a runner. He was extremely knowledgeable about nutrition. In fact, he diagnosed my so-called lactose intolerance, got me to quit dairy. Oh, my intestinal difficulties were cured the next morning. Wasn't that amazing? Dr. Glover and I had many wonderful conversations. He was very knowledgeable, and he was my first lifestyle medicine mentor. When I went off to medical school, I went off with lots of wisdom from Dr. Glover, and he taught me well. So I went to UC Davis School of Medicine, and when I was there, I loved the training, learning the first year about all the normal anatomy and physiology and the biochemistry and all that good stuff. It was amazing. Oh, by the way, I should tell you, we had the most number of hours of nutrition in any medical school in the entire country. A whopping 10 hours. 10 hours. And by the way, all we did is studied kwashiorkor, marasmus, beriberi, and scurvy, which we haven't seen in over 100 years. And the rest of the class, we studied the micronutrients, the vitamins and the minerals and all that good stuff. Oh, just so you know, they gave us the book for nutrition. They gave it to us. All the other classes, we had to pay $150, $200 for a textbook. They gave us the textbook for nutrition at UC Davis School of Medicine. I still have it. It's a beautiful 8.5 by 11 hardback book. It's about this thick, and it's glossy pages, beautiful color pages. And it shows all the serious nutritional deficiency diseases. That's about it. And on the cover of the book, it says nutrition at the top. And at the bottom, it says, Upjohn. What is Upjohn? It's a major pharmaceutical company. Oh. So hopefully you can connect the dots like I did all those years ago. Consider this, my friends. Every medical student in the entire United States has been getting their information and training on nutrition from a pharmaceutical company. Conflict of interest? Maybe. Wow. Wow. So that was rather interesting. So I started to become a little disillusioned. And I talked to my advisor about being able to do research on the connection between lifestyle and longevity. So I split my second year curriculum and I started to do my literature review. And after I did my literature review, I presented it to my advisor and he said, Ruben, you're on to something, but quite frankly, we don't have the resources here for you. You should consider taking a break from medical school, check out the School of Public Health. You have the option to come back if you want to. I didn't know what public health was, but when I researched it out, I fell in love. So I went to the UCLA School of Public Health. I had to be there because I grew up down in Southern California and I loved UCLA. I was a big fan of the UCLA basketball program as well. So I went to UCLA and I loved it. It was amazing. It was great. I got to meet with and work with some of the most brilliant people in health promotion and preventing disease. That resonated so much for me. When I finished my master's, I realized something very important, that I was passionate about promoting health and preventing disease. And I was no longer interested in treating disease. So I made a bold decision to not go back to medical school. I couldn't bring myself to doing it. No way. I even talked to Dr. John McDougall about it. And I said, no, I can't do it. He told me, just go back, just put up with it. And I said, no, I cannot do it. Because I live a life of integrity. So I went into healthcare administration, did that for over a dozen years, ran the hospital at Kaiser South Sacramento for a number of years. It was an incredible experience, then started doing consulting. But all along, I was continuing my own study in the connection between lifestyle and longevity. Lifestyle medicine is the use of evidence-based lifestyle therapeutic intervention, including a whole food, plant predominant eating pattern, regular physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, avoidance of risky substances, and positive social connection. As a primary modality, primary number one. Let's not do this secondarily. No, medications afterwards, primary lifestyle medicine, delivered by clinicians trained and certified in this specialty to prevent, treat, and often reverse chronic disease. Wow. So lifestyle medicine is about using all of these modalities and teaching people and empowering people to change their lifestyle. And what happens is that the body can heal itself far better than any medications could ever hope to do. So that's what lifestyle medicine's all about. So as Dr. Wayne Dysinger says, he says this, that lifestyle medicine is the foundation of healthcare. Why? Because 80% of healthcare is composed of chronic disease. That's what we deal with. Now, 80% of chronic disease, what actually contributes to chronic disease, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, is lifestyle. So if the disease is caused by lifestyle, the foundation ought to be a lifestyle treatment. Doesn't that make sense? Makes sense, yes. Now, this is why the American College of Lifestyle Medicine today is the fastest growing branch of the American Medical Association. Aren't you excited? Yes, isn't that exciting? I'm converting doctors all the time. All right, come join us because it's so rewarding. So I studied for a whole year, and then in October 2018, I became one of the first board-certified lifestyle medicine professionals in the world. And I'm very proud of that. It took me 30 years to find my tribe, but I found my tribe, and it's just so exciting, and it's wonderful. It's just absolutely wonderful. And I'm also a member of the Institute of Coaching out of Harvard. Many of us in lifestyle medicine are. And I get to live into this quote that Thomas Edison said well over 100 years ago, that the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patient in the care of the human frame and in the cause and prevention of disease. Wow. This was said over 100 years ago. Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. This is what lifestyle medicine is doing today. Aren't you excited? You should be. It's awesome. Now, I also want to let you know I have absolutely zero, zilch, nada, no conflicts of interest whatsoever. I have no products to sell you. I have no gimmicks. I have no sales. None of that whatsoever. Nothing up my sleeve. See, nothing up my sleeve. So completely free of any conflicts of interest whatsoever. I'm out here because I am passionate about eliminating chronic disease from the face of the planet. That's my mission. That is my personal mission statement. I cannot do this by myself. I need your help in spreading the word and being able to empower people to make a difference in their lifestyle, to prevent, reverse, and treat chronic disease. Okay, we cannot do this by ourselves. And we cannot do it sitting alone at home watching Netflix. We have to make a difference for people, all of us. We're all in this together, every single one of us. And every single one of you can make a difference. Every single one of you. So I think Virgil was correct when he said this well over 2,000 years ago, that the greatest wealth that any of us can have is our health. It really is. It is the greatest wealth that any of us can have. But we get into trouble. Why is that? I love what the Dalai Lama said. He said this, that what perplexed him most about humanity was this, that man sacrifices his health in order to make money. How many of you know people that sacrifice their health in order to make money? They put work ahead of their health. Yeah, far too many people do. Okay, then he sacrifices money near the end of his life in order to try to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future, he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies having never really fully lived. I've seen it far too many times. I've seen far too many people die far before their time. Heart attacks at the age of 42. That's it. You're done. You're done. You're done. So it doesn't have to be that way. So this is why it's so important The reason we get into this trouble is because of our belief systems. Our belief systems are really, they're wacky. They're wacky. How many of you know people that are wacky in their belief systems? How many of you know wacky people, right? They're wacky. Like, are you kidding me? Right? So beliefs, in psychology, we define beliefs as a thought trusted to be true. They're just a thought trusted to be the truth. They're not the truth. They're simply a strongly held opinion. So how wacky we are as human beings. You know that there are some people, have you met them? I don't know, I'll ask. How many of you have met people that still believe that the earth is flat? How many of you met those people? Rather fascinating conversations, aren't they? Right? Like, no matter what you say, no matter how many different pieces of evidence or information you bring to the table, they will still hold on to their belief that the earth is flat. That's pretty wacky, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? It is. We're all conditioned to believe what we believe. We don't realize it. We as human beings are conditioned to believe what we believe. Now, I want to prove to you that you're conditioned just as much as I am. We're all conditioned. We're all conditioned. See if you can finish this jingle. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. It's correct, okay? That's the Alka-Seltzer commercial. Do you know that that ad has not played in over 40 years? Yeah, you date yourself, don't you? All right? That's conditioning, because the advertisers know how to do that with bombardment and repetition. We're conditioned to believe what we believe. Every single one of us on the face of the planet is conditioned to believe what we believe. You have friends that are conditioned to believe that they need meat, dairy, and eggs in their diet, don't you? They're just conditioned to believe that. Now, I'm going to show you some ads that actually were in the newspaper back in the 30s and 40s. Actual ads that you would never want to see again. But these were actual ads that were in the newspaper by the advertising agencies. All right, on the far upper left, Nico Time cigarettes, the smooth taste pregnant mothers crave. Wow. How about this one on the upper right? No flies on me thanks to DDT. Oh.
Is that real?
Yeah, these are actual ads. Bottom left-hand corner is the first product from the Bayer company for their headaches, heroin hydrochloride. It was legal. Yes, it was. The far bottom right is let this magic mineral asbestos protect the buildings in your farm. Now we can't get rid of it fast enough. These are actual ads. People believe them, hook, line, and sinker. Should we always trust the marketing? So my friends, what we need to be able to do is not only for ourselves, but also for the people that we interact with, is to support the process of questioning our beliefs. Question your beliefs. Question, all right? Don't make people wrong for the beliefs that they have, okay? If they've got their beliefs, they got their beliefs. But empower them to question their beliefs. Is that necessarily the truth? You changed your beliefs. That's why you're here. So we need to empower people to do the same. Now, I do not claim to be an all-knowing expert about anything at all. I'm a student. Always have been, always will be. I'm clear. I will be a student till the day I die. I'll be learning and growing. Now, one of my fabulous, amazing teachers, he wanted to be here today, but he couldn't make it. So he has some words of wisdom to impart to you. Now, being that I'm from California, I'm going to see if I can channel his spirit into you today. Give me a moment. Please bear with me. You must unlearn what you have learned. Did he come through? Did you get Yoda's message? How many of you got the message? All right, wonderful. Okay, how many of you are willing to have an open mind? All right, great. So we're going to cover a few things today. All right, so one, I'm going to talk about the context and the framework for health. We're going to talk about the 7 lifestyle medicine areas briefly. I don't have time to cover everything, but I want to cover it in brief so that you get it. I'm going to focus on nutrition. And then we're going to talk about successful lifestyle change, how you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. How many of you'd like to do that? How many of you would like to make the rest of your life the best of your life? Outstanding. Great. Okay, so now in lifestyle medicine, what we talk about, here's what we try to do based on the research. We know in 1920, the average life expectancy was a mere 45 years. 45 years. 45 years was the average life expectancy over 100 years ago. Now, recently, in 2020, life expectancy was 78 years. In lifestyle medicine, what we say is this. We can't have you live forever. Nobody lives forever. But what we want to do is improve the quality of your life and have you live a long, healthy, vibrant, thriving life for as long as possible, get to 100 or more, and then die short with no suffering, no pain. Okay, die short, die in your sleep, die a happy person, like my godfather and my godmother. My godmother was amazing. Lived on beans and rice from Nicaragua. Lived to 102, died in her sleep, a happy woman. I danced salsa with her when she was 92, and she was the best dancer on the floor. It was amazing. It was amazing. So we want to have that kind of vitality. That's what we're out to do in lifestyle medicine. Now, we've done research. We've done this. This is an old study where we took 23,000 participants between the ages of 35 and 65 and followed them for almost 8 years. And if we just focused on 4 factors, a BMI, body mass index of less than 30, no tobacco use, 3.5 hours a week or more of physical activity, and a high intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and low red meat consumption. If they followed just those 4 criteria, we saw a 78% decreased risk of developing chronic disease. Just on those 4 criteria. That's amazing. That's only 4. But we've got lots more practices in lifestyle medicine, so we can make a significant difference. It's really amazing. So our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to be able to build resilience. This is my friend Nehemiah Delgado. How many of you know about Nehemiah? All right, he was on the Game Changers. He was amazing, absolutely amazing. All right, so build resilience. So we define resilience as the capacity to prepare for disruptions, recover from shocks and stresses, and adapt and grow from a disruptive experience. So we need to be strong. We need to be strong. The stronger we are, the more vibrant we are, the healthier we are, the more resilience we have. That's what we want to be able to develop. It's not about perfection. It's about resilience. So the context for health begins with this incredible quote from my dear, dear, dear professor at California Lutheran University. And one day, Dr. Michael Kalitsky, he said this. It was a comparative anatomy and physiology class. And he said, remember that all of life is in one of 2 states at any given moment. Either it is surviving or it is thriving. And that's all there is. It's powerful to understand this. Now, when he said this, I was confused. I said, Dr. Kalitsky, I'm thinking there's got to be a bell-shaped distribution curve here. And he said, no, it's one or the other. I said, Dr. Kalitsky, I don't get it. And he said to me the famous words that he said to me often, sit with it, Ruben, you'll figure it out. So I sat with it. How many of you would like to have the answers like right away? You want the answers right away? Okay, very good. You're my friends. So I wanted the answers, but he wouldn't give it to me. So I sat with it for 3 years. In medical school, I was able to finally connect the dots. I was taking a class called embryology. So embryology is the study of the embryonic period of human development. So that's from the moment of conception to the point where everything is there and now it just gets bigger. After that, we call it a fetus. So the embryonic period pretty much is the first trimester of a pregnancy. Early on in our development, we all look like this, ball of cells. You can't tell them apart. They're identical to each other. At least they appear to be. But eventually, this ball of cells gets bigger. And then it gets big enough that it starts to fold inward on itself, and then it forms this tube of cells. This tube of cells will become the first organ system of the body to become distinguishable and operational. So it's referred to as the neural tube. So the neural tube will give rise to what we call the limbic brain, which is the central features of our brain. That's your hippocampus, your amygdala, your hypothalamus, the pituitary. Those are the central features of your brain, and it's all connected to the entire spinal cord. So this is the neural tube. It gives rise to what we refer to as the central nervous system. The central nervous system. Now, the professor said this central nervous system, it is the first system to become operational. And it is the electrical system of the body. It runs the show. How many of you have ever built a house or any kind of building like that? Have you ever done anybody here? Okay, do you have to have your electrical wiring before or after the sheetrock? Before, preferably before. So you put it in early. So it's the same way with human beings. So what happens is that the electrical system goes in early. It's the first thing to go in. Now, the professor said this. It's an electrical system. Our body is run on electricity, and it's just like any basic electrical system. You've got two currents. You've got a positive current and a negative current. So in the human body, what we have is on the positive current is referred to as the parasympathetic branch of the central nervous system. So when that parasympathetic branch is on, it is on for the entire body. Every organ system, every cell in the body is operating in the parasympathetic state. Now, the negative current of the body is referred to as the sympathetic branch of the central nervous system. When it is on, it's going to affect every organ system, every cell in the body in the opposite way. In the opposite way. You see, these two currents are polar opposite of each other. How many of you have seen the yin and yang symbol before? How many of you have seen that? That is a representation of the parasympathetic and sympathetic states. That's brilliant wisdom. So the professor said this, once this system is turned on, it is on for the rest of our lives. It's the first system on, and it's the last system off. It's always running the show, and you don't even have to think about it, it's on. You're asleep at night, it's still working. You don't have to think about it. Your hair is growing, whether you like it or not. In some cases, I wish it would work. You're digesting your food, you don't have to think about it. You don't have, you're beating your heart, you don't have to think about it. You're breathing, you don't have to think about it. It's happening all the time. We refer to it as the autonomic nervous system. So it's always on. But the professor said this, and this is what caught my attention. Once the system is turned on, we operate in either the sympathetic state or we operate in the parasympathetic state at any given moment. We can go back and forth between the two. But we operate in one state or the other. We do not cross the connections. That would cause a short. This is profound, my friends. This is so profound because what we have to understand is that we operate in only one of these two states at any given moment. When we're operating in the sympathetic state, we are reacting to stress of any kind, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual stress. If we are reacting to any kind of stress, we're going to be in the sympathetic state and the state of survival. It is a primal way that we function in that state. We're functioning as a primal human being. We're not very rational. How many of you know people that when they're agitated, angry, frustrated, or annoyed, they're not very rational? How many of you know people like that? Yeah. Okay. Now, we recognize the reactions, fight, flight, freeze, or fold, but even so much as a perceived threat is enough to trigger us to go into the sympathetic state. Doesn't take much. Doesn't take much. Oh, you get in the car and you think, oh my God, I got to deal with George again today? Oh no. Oh no. You're in the sympathetic state. Now, here's what we show in the literature. It's so clear that the common thread of all chronic disease is being in the state of ease, far too much. Far too much. So when you think heart disease, cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, the list goes on. The common thread for all chronic disease is one thing: being in the sympathetic state far too much. Dr. Dean Ornish says this, that all chronic disease is the same disease, it just has different faces. Because of each of us has different, slightly different genetics. So it shows up in different ways, but we're in the sympathetic state. It's going to be chronic disease if we stay in it far too long. One of my good friends, he's a cardiologist and board certified in lifestyle medicine, Dr. Stephen Loam. So he talks about how there are 5 major factors that keep us in America sick. What keeps us sick is being in the sympathetic state far too much. So when we're in the sympathetic state far too much, for whatever reasons, our brain is wired to do 3 things really well. Really well. We avoid pain, we seek pleasure, and we conserve energy. That's what we do when we're stressed. The American way. Think about it. You've worked a long day. You've worked 12 hours. You get home. You're tired. You're hungry. You have no interest in cooking a healthy meal. So you wander over to the refrigerator and you open it up, and there before you lies your solution. The leftover pizza from last night and the 6-pack of beer. You head to the couch, turn on Netflix, and you veg out for the rest of the evening. That's the American way. Those are the 3 things. Avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. Another thing that keeps us sick is our family pattern of behaviors. A lot of people mistakenly think, oh, diabetes runs in my family. No. Heart disease runs in my family. No. Cancer runs in my family, I'm going to get it. No. Nobody's running in your family to begin with, okay? They're unhealthy. So the thing is, it's your pattern of family behaviors. That's what's running. Another thing that keeps us sick is the food industry. How many of you believe that McDonald's and Carl's Jr. and Wendy's and Pizza Hut have your health as their #1 priority? Think again. Not happening. Another thing that keeps us sick is the government. Yes. And it became glaringly obvious these last several years. Does the government put health as our #1 priority? Don't think so. It's all about money. All right, and another thing that keeps us sick is the medical industry itself. I already told you about the nutrition course in medical school. So it doesn't focus on prevention. It doesn't focus on disease prevention and health promotion. It focuses on disease management and disease treatment. That's the training. So that's what keeps us sick. So what we have to be able to do, and what lifestyle medicine is all about, it's let's swing the pendulum from being too much in the sympathetic state and swing the pendulum so that we can empower people to be more in the parasympathetic state more of the time. If we can empower people to change their central nervous system state, then the body can heal itself. So our mission, what lifestyle medicine is all about, let's swing the pendulum from sympathetic to parasympathetic. When we do this, our body restores itself, it thrives, and it heals. It heals itself far better than any medication. So the things that can help us, what can help us to swing the pendulum? So now I'm going to get into all the details about what fundamentally shifts our central nervous system state. So the wisdom of the ages, 5 major things that I teach all the time. 1 is the thoughts that we think. Most important. Most important. Our thoughts become things. One of my teachers, Zig Ziglar, and he taught me about stinking thinking. If we suffer from stinking thinking, we will be in the sympathetic state. So we have to practice the power of positive thinking, as I learned from my wonderful teacher, Norman Vincent Peale. Practice the power of positive thinking. Second are the words that we speak. So if we speak words that are negative, critical, cynical, skeptical, if we complain, if we gossip, we will be in the sympathetic state just like that. Mind your words. Your words are powerful medicine. They are spells. That's why it's called spelling, okay? So we have to mind our words. So here's a mission for you. You want to live a long, thriving, healthy, happy life. Be grateful for everything and complain about nothing. For everything indeed is a blessing. Mind your words. Third is the actions that we take, because actions speak louder than words, don't they? So here's the challenge. If we make a promise to ourselves and we let ourselves off the hook, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and work out on Mondays at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to get up at 5:30 in the morning. 5:30 in the morning, the alarm goes off. And what do? You hit the snooze button. The moment you hit the snooze button, sympathetic state just like that. It's instantaneous. So we have to be living a life of integrity and honoring our word and our promises to ourselves first and foremost. It starts with us. The fourth is the company we keep. This is amazing. Most of us don't realize this, but it's absolutely true, and the research bears this out. There's a book called Connected. And it's based on the research showing that our life is impacted not only by the relationships that we have in our immediate social circle, but also their friends, and even the friends of their friends. So it's really important for us to pick people that we can align with philosophically in every which way. It is really important. This is why this society is so important. We need to grow the Vegan Society of Hawaii. And then the last thing, which most people are shocked about, because everything affects our central nervous system, including the food that we eat. Now, this one is a head ringer for some people, let me tell you. What do you mean, food affects my central nervous system? Yes. Everything affects your central nervous system. Some foods will put you in the sympathetic state, just like that. Other foods will put you in the parasympathetic state. Next time you go to a party, make sure you ask the host or hostess, will this food put me in the sympathetic state or the parasympathetic state? See the look on their face when that happens. Now, in addition to all this, we have all the 7 areas of lifestyle medicine: hydration, nutrition, physical activity, harmful substance reduction, sleep, emotional and well-being and stress management, healthy relationships. So think of all of this as the spokes of your wheel, the spokes of your wheel. So all of it is important. Some people make the mistake of focusing on just their nutrition or just their exercise or just their sleep. That's a mistake. You have to do all of it. Now, when I meet with people and work with people and I help them to change their lifestyle, I make fine-tuning adjustments in all of those areas. All of them are important. Think of them as the spokes of your wheel of life. I don't know, how many of you have ever tried to true up a bicycle tire once you've replaced the spoke that was broken? How many of you have ever done that? It's quite an adventure. Because when you do that, you put in the new spoke and you tighten it up, you cannot make the wheel true by just tightening up the one spoke. You have to adjust all the spokes just a little bit to finally get it to be true again. So that's what lifestyle medicine does. So let's look at each of these areas very briefly. All right, very briefly. I'm just going to give you big tips. All right, number 1 is water. Most people are dehydrated. Evidence shows clearly from the Adventist Health Study that drinking just 5 8-ounce glasses of water a day, only 5. That's only 40 ounces, folks. That's not much. But 5 glasses of water a day decrease the risk of stroke and heart attacks by 50%. 50%? This is the number 1 killer. These two right here. This should be on CNN every night, as far as I'm concerned. But it's not. But it needs to be. So absolutely phenomenal. How many of you know people that are struggling with losing weight? How many of you know people struggling with losing weight? Okay, look, we have clinical study. This is an 8-week, randomized 12-week clinical study that drinking just 2 cups of water, 2 8-ounce cups of water before each meal led to a 44% greater rate of weight loss. My friends, that would put Jenny Craig Nutrisystem and Weight Watchers completely out of business. Okay? It's just so important. So you need to be drinking water. Everybody needs to be drinking water. That's why I bring my water with me all the time. Dr. Brooke Goldner, a very good friend of mine, she's amazing. She talks about how water, it's essential for all the chemical reactions in our body. We need this is the benchmark, a half an ounce of water per pound of body weight per day, up to 128 ounces, which is a gallon of water a day. Now, if you weigh 150 pounds, that would be 75 to 128 ounces. If you weigh 200 pounds, that would be 100 to 128 ounces. The optimal benefits are a gallon of water a day. Most people don't drink that much. My invitation to you, my friends, by the way, do not drink this all at once. Okay? And don't get started with a gallon right off the bat. Work your way up to it. Work your way up to it. Now, one way I try to teach my clients about how to be able to do this, the most important time to hydrate is first thing in the morning. Absolutely critical. We dehydrate over the course of our sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Now what happens? We're losing water all the time. The 4 ways we lose water: respiration, perspiration, defecation, urination. So we're losing water all the time. So we need to replenish first thing in the morning. You do not need the coffee. You do not need the caffeine. By the way, caffeine is a poison, in case you didn't know. What your body needs is water. Your brain is 80% water. You don't need the caffeine ever. You don't. So drink 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning as soon as you get up. That hydrates your brain. Drink a glass of water before and after each meal, and drink 2 glasses of water before you work out and 2 glasses of water after you work out. That'll get you to 96 ounces. That's great. That's really a great amount of water to be able to have. So just work at being able to be consistent in drinking more water. More water. Now, you can also eat your water. Doesn't this look yummy? I mean, gosh, this is so great. Pineapple, 87% water. I love it. Cucumber, lettuce, tomato, watermelon, strawberry, cantaloupe, orange, grapes, all of it. High amounts of water. Now, how you know you're going to be hydrated is not just by what you put in. It's also by what comes out. So, being that I'm a health professional, I can talk about pee all day. Okay, so make sure you check your pee. It should be pale yellow to clear. Make sure you check it out from time to time. Real important. So if you're pale yellow to clear, you're doing great. If it's bright yellow, orange, or amber, you're in trouble. Make sure you drink more water. And by the way, socially, it's a great thing to be drinking lots of water. Don't worry about needing to go to the bathroom, because it might actually come in handy. So drinking 1 gallon of water a day helps you avoid other people's drama, because you are too busy peeing. All right, so stay hydrated, my friends. Whoops, I gotta go. See you later. All right. Okay, so that's hydration. Next thing is plant-based nutrition. Now, here's the reality, my friends, and it's so exciting. Not only does the American College of Lifestyle Medicine support a whole food plant-based diet, but now all these other organizations do too. Wow, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. The American Medical Association, the Diabetes Canada, World Cancer Research Fund, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Society, all of these organizations all support a whole food plant-based diet is optimal for health. All of them do now. We've got the science behind this backing it up. So we're not alone anymore. Isn't that exciting? You should be all cheering. Okay, you should all be cheering. This should be great. All right, so now when we look at this clinically, all right, just to give you one piece of clinical, so when somebody wants to question you about nutrition and eating a whole food plant-based diet, there's only one dietary approach, only one dietary approach that reverses atherosclerosis and heart disease. That's it, one. There's only one dietary approach that causes a positive genetic expression, positive genes and being increased and negative genes being decreased. Only one. That's it. Number 3, it increases the telomere length on your chromosomes to actually increase your longevity. There's only one dietary approach that does that. And there's only one dietary approach that's been demonstrated to be the best for long-term weight loss. Only one. All of them, all 4 of these are a whole food, plant-based diet. Isn't that exciting? Okay, now I've just loaded your gun for having conversations with people. How many of you have naysayers in your world that you need to talk to? Okay, so you want to have this. So this is great information. So let's talk about this briefly. Atherosclerosis, how many of you are familiar with my good friend, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn? Okay, he wrote this book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. Absolutely amazing. So in his research, he came across this information. You've probably seen it before, that in Norway, in 1939, the rate of heart disease mortality plummeted down, and then in 1945, it started to climb back up. And this was like, what happened in Norway? What happened? How could this possibly be? This was a dramatic shift in heart disease mortality. Well, what happened was that the Nazi Germans invaded Norway, and they confiscated all the animals to feed the German army. They left the Norwegians with vegetables and potatoes. That's all they had to eat. So what happened is that the Norwegians got healthier. Heart disease plummeted down. It was amazing. By the way, this wasn't the only country where this happened. In Denmark, they actually did this intentionally. They were a neutral country. And the doctor, who was the minister of health, actually sold all the animals to the German army and had everybody in the entire country of Denmark eat only plant materials. And they all got healthier. And they published it in Journal of the American Medical Association, where I found it. It's there. So it's been amazing. So in Dr. Esselstyn, he saw this work. He took 24 cardiovascular patients who had been told to prepare to die. And those who all followed the plant-based diet by Dr. Esselstyn, they went on to live free of heart disease for over 20 years. The ones who did not, they all died shortly thereafter. Now, this was amazing. It was phenomenal. But then Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn was challenged. And they said, you need a bigger study. You need to be more defined in how you do this approach. And he said, fine. If you've met him, you get that. He said, fine. If you don't like the first study, I'll do another one. So he did. So he did another one in 2010. He took 198 patients, 8 times as many people. 21% were not adherent to the dietary approach. 89%, 177, did follow the plant-based diet. Published it in the Journal of Family Practice in 2014 after a 4-year follow-up. Now, here's what we know. These people all had a previous history of a cardiovascular disease event. Okay, so we know from previous research studies that if somebody has a history of cardiovascular disease events, all right, either a myocardial infarction, they have some other kinds of cardiovascular event, then they have a 67% chance of having a repeat cardiovascular disease event within the next 4 years. That's why we designed this study this way. So, the people who did not follow Dr. Esselstyn's whole food plant-based diet, strict diet, here are the results. Okay, and just like we would expect, 62% had a follow-up cardiovascular disease event, they had a repeat event, and 38% did not. All right, that's what we would expect. That is consistent with the literature that we have in many other research studies. But the ones who followed a whole food plant-based diet, the results were dramatic. So what happened was the ones who did follow, here are the results. I put it into a graph. 99.4% free of cardiovascular disease events within 4 years. Wow. One person went on a business trip to Chicago and had a greasy cheeseburger and had a repeat cardiovascular disease event. That was it. Otherwise, it would have been 100%. So that's remarkable. So there's no medication that comes close to this. None whatsoever. It's extraordinary. Not only that, we also have irrefutable evidence in doing the vascular studies. He did this with one of his colleagues, a physician who had vascular disease, atherosclerosis in his heart, in the left anterior descending artery that was so bad they couldn't even do bypass. So he came into the program, followed the whole food plant-based diet, and Dr. Esselstyn had him on, and 32 months later, not only was it completely resolved, but he had even more blood flow. That was amazing. That's amazing. So what we see from a whole food plant-based diet is this, and people ask me this all the time: is it possible for the heart vessels to get healthier? The answer is yes. It's amazing. It really is. The body can heal itself. Dr. Greger says it well. If that's all a plant-based diet can do, reverse the #1 killer of men and women, shouldn't that be the default diet until proven otherwise? I think so. I think so. A cardiologist, a plant-based cardiologist who wrote this book, The Vegan Heart Doctor's Guide, fantastic material, okay, Dr. Schenkman, all right, she wrote, in over 11 years of practice as a cardiologist, not a single plant-based patient under my care has gone on to have another heart attack, need another stent, or need bypass surgery. That's a cardiologist, okay? That's a cardiologist. That's given it straight from that's the person who works with those kinds of patients every day. So that's number one. It reverses atherosclerosis and heart disease. Number two, in terms of genetic expression, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who's a Nobel Prize winner in University of San Francisco, worked with Dr. Dean Ornish on a number of studies. So she showed that on a vegan plant-based diet, it caused more than 500 genes to change in just 3 months, turning on the genes that prevent disease and turning off the genes that cause cancer, heart disease, and other illnesses. A genetic shift. This is the only diet that causes a genetic shift, a positive genetic shift. That's extraordinary. In addition to that, she also got the Nobel Prize for her work on telomeres, showing that the caps of the chromosome, so this is a picture of a chromosome. So the green portion are the ends of the chromosome. Now what happens when a cell multiplies and divides, when it divides and then it multiplies, what happens is that the chromosomes, the caps of the chromosomes tend to get shorter and shorter over time. That's part of the aging process. Now what happens on a plant-based diet? The telomeres stay long and sometimes can even get longer. How many of you would like to age in reverse? I am. I'm actually 102 years old. So I'm actually 65 years young. I still play basketball, full court. How many 65-year-olds do you know that play basketball, do pull-ups, push-ups, the whole bit every single day? All right, that doesn't happen very often, right? So this is what I'm doing. I'm reverse aging. In addition, the research shows this, that the plant-based diet, when compared to other dietary approaches, we actually did this head-to-head with the ketogenic diet, with the paleo diet, with the South Beach diet, all the diets, we put them all head-to-head. And what we showed is that this is in the International Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention, not just United States, International Journal, that it scored best in long-term, sustainable weight loss. And I'm living proof. I'm living proof because I lost over 55 pounds 28 years ago. 28 years ago. So on October 9th, 1990, I ruptured my Achilles tendon, snapped it right off. Snapped off. It sounded so loud, it sounded like the backfire of a car. That's how loud it was. The surgeon told me I would never play basketball again, which devastated me. Now, I did what any hardworking, responsible, intelligent, depressed person does when they are depressed, which would be what? Thank you, you're my friends. Now, what kind of food does a depressed person eat? Junk, processed, all that, all the above. I would leave my office at the hospital, literally, every day at 5 o'clock. And I said, I need my fix before I go to coach my swimmers. So I'd stop in at the gift shop in the hospital. Anybody here ever been in a gift shop in a hospital? Anybody? Do they have healthy food to offer you in a gift shop? No. So I would get my fix for the afternoon. Might as well have been an injection because it was the king-size bag of M&Ms, the large Mountain Dew, the 6 Oreo cookies, and the large 3 Musketeers bar, all every afternoon, every day. And the rest of my diet, Not much better. So over the course of 4.25 years, I blew up. And I was 55 pounds heavier than you see me today. Now, the doctor told me I had issues because when I went in to see the doctor, I had high blood pressure, 170 over 110. I had high cholesterol, 270. I had high blood sugar, 128, pre-diabetic. I didn't care. I was depressed. Until one day, my friend, a swimming coach that I knew for many, many years, he walked up to me. I'm sitting down on my chair, and he walks up to me and he looks at me like this. He says, getting a little chubby there, Ruben. Turns and walks away. Oh my God, I was livid. Oh my God, and mind you, I had a buttermilk donut in my hand. And I wanted to throw it at him, but I didn't want to waste the donut. How many of you can feel me? Okay, you really are my friends, okay? I got mad at him, but then I realized I had done it to myself. And so I started to do what I needed to do because I remembered that autopsy. And I went back to a plant-based diet. I went back to a plant-based diet. And I also remember what Dr. Kalitsky had taught me about comparative anatomy and physiology. See, the thing is, humans are frugivores. Humans are frugivores. So our intestinal tract, our enzymes, our physiology is not like a carnivore. It's not like an omnivore, okay? It's close to an herbivore, but we're really close to a frugivore. That's how we line up. And if you look at all the science, it's irrefutable. It's irrefutable. All right, we're not designed for meat, dairy, and eggs and animal flesh. We're not designed for it at all. It doesn't add up. But the American diet doesn't look so good. So the American diet, we've got 12% plant food. Remember that number, 12% plant food, 25% animal food, and 63% processed foods. It's horrible. This is why we're in such problem. We have so many problems in the United States, is all the processed foods. So we got to understand that the healthiest people on the face of the planet do not eat this way. And that's the blue zone. So we have these 5 blue zones, the Loma Linda for the Seventh-day Adventists in the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Icaria, Greece, and Okinawa, Japan, have the highest number of centenarians over the age of 100. So we've analyzed their diets. So remember, what's the plant proportion in the United States? What is it? 12%. Remember that number, 12%. Average American is only getting 12% plant food. So the healthiest populations in the face of the planet, all right, here we go. Here's the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, a minimum of 58% plants. Okay, 58%. That's almost 5 times the amount of what we have in the United States. All right, in Sardinia, Italy, 63% plants. So they're definitely 5 times more than the US. All right, in Icaria, Greece, 78% plants. Okay, it goes up even more. Okay, so a lot more plant food in their diet. And then if we look at Loma Linda, 81% plants, 81% plants. All right, and then if we look at the best health outcomes happen to be from Okinawa, Japan. 97% plants. 97% plants. Now, here's the thing. I tell people, and people ask me this all the time, do I have to be 100% plants? No, but you just got to raise the bar and just keep raising the bar. If you want the best health outcomes, study what successful people do what they do that everybody else doesn't do. They have 97% plants in their diet, 62% coming from one thing, the purple sweet potato. It's fabulous. Okay, it's fabulous. How many of you have had the purple sweet potato before? Yeah, it's fantastic, right? It's great stuff, great stuff. So in Canada, they looked at this research. They threw out all the private interest groups and all the industry, and they had their scientists revamp their food guide in Canada back in 2019. Guess what? 88% plants in Canada. We will never see this in the United States as long as capitalism rules the day. It won't happen. It won't happen. So what we have to do is continue to be the standard bearers for this message. So why do we have to be able to do this? So I explain it to people. So why this nutritional approach works. So the body is like it's an energy system, just like a car is. So the infrastructure is what we need for protein, okay? That's what makes up the cell. But we don't need very much protein in our diet. It's only a small amount. We need 2 types of fuel, glycogen and triglycerides. 2 types of fuel, that's it. The engine for the car and the system of the body is the mitochondria. That's inside of each cell. So the mitochondria are the pistons of our engine. The reason we eat food, the number 1 reason we eat food is for energy. It's for energy. How many of you felt tired sometimes and then you oh, I gotta eat. And you eat and you feel better. How many of you have had that experience? Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at how we produce energy inside the cell. So this is, I know, scientific, but I want to show you, this is right out of a medical school textbook. So the energy molecule in the human body is this one down here. It's called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP for short. How we produce the most amount of ATP is through the mitochondria, and we need a little bit of fat, not much, just to help the process go. But what we really need is what we call pyruvate. That is a compound that is half of a sugar molecule. And we need to get that from a complex carbohydrate that we as human beings must manufacture. You cannot buy it in a store. We must manufacture a complex carbohydrate referred to as glycogen. You cannot buy it. Sorry, it doesn't exist. We have to manufacture it. However, we need 2 specific carbohydrates in order to manufacture the glycogen. There are many different kinds of carbs, carbohydrates. How many of you have heard people say, oh, I can't have carbs, can't have carbs? How many of you have heard that? Okay. Okay. Well, for the most part, yeah, you don't want to be eating all the cookies and the donuts, okay? Those are bad carbs. But there are 2 specific carbohydrates that we must have: amylose and amylopectin. How many of you before today have never heard of amylose or amylopectin? How many of you have never heard of amylose and amylopectin? Okay, these are 2 specific carbohydrates that human beings must have. Must have. So, amylose and amylopectin, these are the molecular structure diagrams. Amylose on the top is a spiral. Amylopectin is kind of a branched tree. There's an enzyme. The blue arrow is representing amylase. Amylase is in your saliva. We have it in our intestinal tract. Amylase breaks down amylose and amylopectin and helps to reshape it from different pieces so that we can reformulate it and manufacture this molecule, glycogen. We need that. Now, how many of you have seen the marketing on products in the store and they say high in what? They're trying to sell it to you. They say high in protein. That we've shown in the research, the number 1 buying factor for people is if it says high in protein. People will buy things if it says high in protein. But that's not what we need. What we need, how many of you have ever seen a product that says high in amylose and amylopectin? No, you won't see that. It's not on the packaging. But we need that. We need amylose and amylopectin, which are otherwise known as starch. 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 So amylose and amylopectin, otherwise known as starch. What starch looks like for you and me, this is the cover of the scientific journal Starch. What starch looks like for you and me, legumes, beans, peas, lentils. And then people ask me, I can't eat that kind of food. It's so boring. I got to get my meat, dairy, and eggs. No, you got over 2,000 varieties of legumes alone. Okay, you got plenty to choose from. Whole grains, not processed grains, not flour. Okay, whole grains. So the corn, the millet, the spelt, the quinoa, the brown rice, the steel cut oats. Okay, so what we talk about is whole foods, not processed foods. So whole foods are minimally processed, nothing added, nothing taken away. Nothing added, nothing taken away. All right, that's what we want. So whole grains, and then we want starch. We want starchy vegetables. How many of you like potatoes? Okay, when in doubt, eat a potato. Okay, so the best thing for you. There are over 4,000 varieties of potatoes. I had no idea. It's amazing. All right, and then sweet potatoes are one of my favorite, and squashes are fantastic. Now, all plant material has starch. All plant material has starch. Some are higher in concentration than others. All vegetables have starch. In case you forgot what they look like, I thought I'd show you a picture. Okay, so this is where you shop, where it looks like this. You young people, all right, this is where you shop, where it looks like this, all right? And then fruits are fabulous. Everybody complains about so-called fruit sugar, and that's not the problem. There's a difference between refined sugar and unrefined sugar. Unrefined sugar present in whole fruit is absolutely, fabulously healthy for you. Absolutely is. We have research studies showing we took diabetics, put them on a diet of nothing but fruit, and their diabetes went away. Imagine that. Imagine. So the benefits of a whole food plant-based diet, amazing. All right, all of these are benefits, decreases inflammation, gets stored as glycogen, all kinds of things. In fact, there's so many benefits, I couldn't put it on one slide, I had to put it on two. So all of these have scientific studies to back them up as well. And what we also show is that a vegan whole food plant-based diet also adds years to your life. We show this. According to the Loma Linda University study, vegetarians live about 7 years longer and vegans about 15 years longer than the meat eaters. So it absolutely contributes to longevity. So that's why we're out here to do this. So remember this, that the food that you eat can be either the safest and the most powerful form of medicine, or it can be the slowest form of poison. You get to choose, you're an adult. All right, so everything you eat or drink was either going to feed disease or fight it. You get to choose. You get to choose. All right, so my food pyramid is looking at food from a neurological perspective. So either food is going to stimulate the sympathetic branch and be life depleting, causing inflammation, meat, dairy, oils, and processed foods, or toxic, refined sugar, deep fried foods, sodas. Legal drugs include caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol. Those are all legal drugs that absolutely are toxic to the body. And then excitotoxins are the preservatives that they're put into food by the manufacturers to stimulate your brain to actually buy those products. So things that are preservatives like BHT, aspartame, okay, those are excitotoxins. What we want are the life-promoting foods. So everything that I just talked about, starchy veggies, the whole grains, the legumes, greens, colorful veggies, and fruit. So your refrigerator should look like a garden, teeming with life. That's why I'm wearing this shirt today. So this is called Blue Garden. All right, so you want to wear a garden, and you want to have a garden in your refrigerator. It should look like this rather than a morgue, rotting of death. Okay, so quickly, physical activity, you need to be engaged in it. Really important for your health and your lifestyle. Very, very important. So this is me on the left. So what suits your busy lifestyle better? 1 hour a day of exercise or being dead for 24 hours a day? What's it going to be, boo-boo? So get yourself moving. So what we show in the research is this. The sweet spot for physical activity is between 150 and 300 minutes of physical activity per week. 150 to 300 minutes of physical activity per week. Don't do it all at once, spread it out. But that's what we want to be able to strive for. In addition, what we show is that physical activity can actually help you prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. It's the most significant way to decrease the risk of Alzheimer's. We have medical research on this. In fact, 76% decrease in the risk of dementia by dancing frequently. So one of the things that we've shown in the research is partner dancing. Partner dancing is absolutely the best. I've been a salsa dancer for 21 years. I suggest you take it up, all right? So take up salsa dancing, take up any kind of dancing. It will make a huge difference. Harmful substances include cigarettes. Nicotine is very, very harmful. We know that. Okay, so nicotine addiction, toxic chemicals, cancer risk, heart disease, tooth loss, erectile dysfunction, toxic in the blood vessels. So absolutely we recommend that people quit smoking. Most people want to quit smoking if they've been a smoker. The number one tip to help anyone you know that is a smoker is this book, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. Every single one of my clients who has used this book has been able to quit and stay off. It's been wonderful. Another thing that is harmful to our health is alcohol. Sorry, my friends, those of you who like to drink, I know a lot of people do, but there is no safe level. Including wine, beer, hard liquor, any of it. There is no safe level. Alcohol, we know, contributes to heart disease, absolutely contributes to heart disease in many different ways. So absolutely, this is from the American Heart Association, so it absolutely contributes to heart disease. In addition, the American Medical Association issued a statement letter to the Nutrition Guidelines Committee back in 2020, and this sentence right here, okay, so that there is no safe threshold for alcohol and cancer risk. No safe threshold for alcohol and cancer risk. One mouthful of alcohol will convert to acetaldehyde, which is mutagenic and carcinogenic, just like that. And what we show in the research is this, that one bottle of wine is equivalent to 5 cigarettes per week in men and 10 cigarettes in women. So one bottle of wine. That's the cancer equivalent. In England, they are absolutely trying to educate people about the risk of cancer, and they showed this. This is in England and cancer research in the United Kingdom, that alcohol can cause many different types of cancer: mouth and upper throat, larynx, esophagus, breast cancer, liver cancer, bowel cancer. All of those are affected by alcohol. Absolutely the case. So in the blue zones, what we show is this, that people are healthy in spite of the alcohol, not because of the alcohol. Okay, so the thing is, what we're showing is that because of their entire lifestyle, that they're still healthy in spite of the alcohol, not because of it. So it's a very important distinction. And by the way, the latest research study that you want to know about is how alcohol affects the brain. So conclusive evidence, irrefutable evidence. My friends, Doctors Dean and Ayesha Shirzai, anybody familiar with them, the brain docs? They're fabulous. All right, so this came out last year. Okay, so what they showed in this, we've known that the heavy alcohol consumption is associated with brain shrinkage. We know that. But a new comprehensive study shows that even one drink a day, just one drink a day, can damage the brain. And the damage is exponential with each additional drink. And this is based on over 36,000 brain scans. 36,000 brain scans. Okay, how many of you drink your coffee? Okay, you'll drink your coffees. How many of you drink your Red Bulls, your Monster drinks? Okay, so you want to know the data on this. So caffeine is also toxic to your body. Okay, so consumption of energy drinks leads to a significant increased risk of arrhythmia and strokes. 500% increased risk of stroke. 500% increased risk of stroke. 500% increased risk of stroke. This is out of the European Society of Cardiology. It's not in the United States because guess what? This would kill business. All right, so now caffeine, so that you know the caffeine effects. All right, this is from Medical Medium. So it causes all kinds of damage in the body. So it dehydrates and acidifies the body, causes fight or flight response, promotes adrenal glands to pump toxic blend of adrenaline. So adrenal fatigue. How many of you are familiar with adrenal fatigue? How many of you have heard of that? Yeah, absolutely. Contributes to that. Blood sugar imbalances, headaches, insomnia, anxiousness, weight gain, premature aging, adrenal fatigue, hair loss, depersonalization, and kidney stones. Not good. Not good. None of this is good. Okay, so that's caffeine. Here's the next thing. We're going to talk about sleep. Sleep is so important. Most people do not get enough sleep. Sleep apnea. How many of you know people that have diagnosed sleep apnea? Okay, now here's the thing. It increases the risk of Alzheimer's by 70%. That's significant. That's significant. Okay? 7 to 8 hours of sleep, we need that for our brain. The bottom line is this: shorter sleep equals shorter life. And every chronic disease pattern has the same graph. When we look at the sweet spot for the amount of sleep we have relative to the risk of any chronic disease, whether it's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, it doesn't matter. They all have the same graph. So the lowest amount of risk is between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. That's what we need. All of us, we all need that. Now, Hawaii is one of the smartest states in the entire United States because you don't practice daylight savings time. Here's the problem with daylight savings time. You want to see what the problem is? In the spring, when we spring forward, we lose an hour of sleep in California. All right, here's what the data shows in many countries. In the spring, we change the daylight savings times. The next day, there's a 24% increase in heart attacks the following day. In one day. I have a friend who's an emergency room physician. They staff accordingly. They know it's going to happen. In the fall, we change back to standard time. There's a 21% decrease in heart attacks the next day. Consistency of sleep matters and is critical for longevity. So we really need to be able to do it well. The most important tip out of all of this is a regular schedule. Young people, hear me well. Go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time. Go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time. Make sure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Okay? Now, stress management, the next to the last thing. Okay, we want to unwind. It's very important for us to do that. There's many ways to do it. Eliminate your multitasking. Make sure that you meditate and you're aware. The number one tip, I'm going to give you just one tip today, that's it, and that is from Dr. Andrew Huberman. He has done the research on what we call the physiological sigh. The physiological sigh is something that we all do, all animals do when we sleep. We do it naturally. How many of you have dogs or cats? Okay, watch them while they sleep. They sleep about 16 hours a day, right? So now here's the deal. If you watch your animals when they're sleeping, every now and then they'll do this. They'll breathe normally in, out, and then they'll breathe in, pause, inhale more deeply, long exhale. Now that breathing pattern is called the physiological sigh. When we consciously do that, we offload CO2 optimally, we increase oxygenation, and we shift the central nervous system state from being sympathetic to parasympathetic quicker than anything else while we're awake. The last thing is our relationships. I learned a long time from my parents to practice the golden rule, which is to do unto others as others do unto you. A good rule. How many of you think that this is a good rule to practice in your relationships? Absolutely correct. And I discovered something very interesting. As good as this is, it is defective. It's flawed. Why? Because not everybody wants what I want. Right? So there has been an upgrade to the golden rule, in case you didn't know. An upgrade to the golden rule is called the platinum rule. The platinum rule is do unto others as they would want done to them. It's not about you after all. Oh my. So to practice the platinum rule, 2 books to help you to practice the platinum rule. These are absolutely, they're not gold, they're platinum. So the first one is The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. And if you work in an organization, it's the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. Absolutely phenomenal. So what Gary Chapman discovered is that we as human beings feel most appreciated by usually 1 or 2 of these languages of appreciation. And we're all a little bit different. So we need to discover how other people feel most appreciated. So the 5 languages. Some people love tangible gifts. They love getting the Starbucks gift cards. They love those kinds of things. But not everybody. Some people would rather spend 5 minutes having a meaningful conversation with you, quality time. Others need to hear words of affirmation. Thank you, I appreciate you, I love you. Others need to feel the physical connection, always appropriate, but they need to feel that. And then others need to experience your acts of service where you contribute to them. They're busy, they're working hard, and it makes a difference. You help them. So you can determine their languages of appreciation. There are online surveys to do this. And you just need to pay attention as well. Just pay attention to people. Listen, watch what they do. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they're complaining about not getting. So pay attention to people. Make it a practice to learn about other people and to give them what they need. This will strengthen your relationships and help you to love better. If you forget about the 5 languages, don't worry. Just play with it. Have fun. My good friend Joshua Perez says this. Just practice the 5 languages of love. And if you forget what they are, all you have to do is remember tacos. Tacos. Tacos? Yes, tacos. Here's how it goes. Joshua Perez says this. So words of affirmations. Oh, your tacos are so delicious. I can't wait to have them. Okay, acts of service. Oh, I made you tacos from scratch, just the way you like it, yes. All right, and then receiving gifts. Oh, here's a taco from our favorite taqueria. I got it just for you. All right, and then quality time. Oh, let's go for tacos together Friday night. Does that work for you? Yes. And then my favorite. Oh, please, let me hold you like a taco. Just have fun with it, okay? Remember this, my friends, that a person's greatest emotional need, we all have this, every single one of us, the greatest emotional need that every single one of us has is to feel appreciated. To feel appreciated, to feel loved. That's what we need. And then finally, Dr. Dean Ornish and Dr. Joel Kahn, they talk about how important it is for us to actually love more. Most of us don't love enough. In fact, every cardiologist, Joel Kahn says, for heart disease should be loving more. So the evidence is there. In case you didn't know, the evidence is there for us to be loving more. All right? So 1 time or less a month is a 50% increased risk of heart disease. 8 times a month, 36% decreased risk of heart disease. 16 times a month, a 50% decreased risk of heart disease. More is better. More is better. All right, so I've given you lots of practices, have I not? I've given you lots to work on, have I not? Okay, so now here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's all about progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. Take one thing, make it better. Then take another thing, make it better. Just take small, tiny little steps. So how many of you would like to make the rest of your life the best of your life? All right, wonderful. So imagine for a moment, what would that look like for you if you were living your best and most amazing life? Would you be like Ruth out here? Would you be vibrant, healthy, active, doing great things with your life and having so much energy? How many of you would like to be dancing on the beaches of life and having so much fun in your life? How many of you would like to be able to have that? So the question is, where are you now? Where are you now? Are you there yet? Many people are not. Many people are not. So what will it take for you to actually get there? If you want to get to that point where you have that kind of life, you need a plan. You need a plan. But do you actually have a plan that's proven to work? Most people do not. So what lifestyle medicine provides is a plan. I have a plan, and I'm living proof. I already shared with you about my story. So what I went back to in 1995 was my 4-point plan. Number 1, we must begin from within. The path towards a healthy lifestyle starts here by reshaping our mindset, our thinking, our attitude, our consciousness, and awareness. Second, we need a proven strategy. That is the whole aspects of lifestyle medicine, what it does. All right, and then we need to actually have consistency. We need support and accountability. We need other people to help us. We need other people to help us. We need a community. And then fourth, we need a track record of consistency. All 4 parts are necessary to be successful in creating a lifestyle change. I do lifestyle medicine consultations for people. I also do group coaching for people as well. One of my graduates I want to tell you just about is Donna. Donna came into my program in April of 2018. She had atrial fibrillation. She had knee pain, serious knee pain. She had all kinds of edema. She had weight, and she wanted to lose weight. She'd already been plant-based for 9 years at that point. She came into my program. We fine-tuned all the little details, and she lost 60 pounds by October 2019. By January 2020, she was 70 pounds lighter, and she said, that's it, I'm good right there. She kept on working at her lifestyle. And during the course of the pandemic, she continued to walk. All right, she walked every day. All right, and then in 2021, on Thanksgiving Day, at the age of 69, she did her first 10K. in 1 hour and 41 minutes. Ruth, do you think that's pretty good for 69 the first time out? First time out? That's pretty darn good. All right, it's pretty darn good. And then the next month, she did her first marathon. She finished the first marathon at the age of 69. All right, so not too bad. I also do lifestyle and performance medicine in the workplace. So I do that for organizations, if you know any organizations that want to improve. And this is my contact information as well, so I'll send that to you. So if you want that, it's great. But I want to leave you with this quote from Hunter S. Thompson. Life is not a journey to the grave with the intention to arrive safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside, totally, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. All right?
Thank you so much, Ruben Guzman. Wasn't he wonderful? Yay! Mahalo and wow.